FBI's corruption trial dropped bombshells on Arizona, but did testimony have explosive consequences, or does? Why ESPN's Dick Vitale is living up to, well, his name, and in grading Kevin Sumlin's coaching performance, why an F also stands for firing his offensive coordinator. The 520 starts now. Well, welcome to the 520. I'm Steve Nunez, and joining me today is our special guest, Mitchell.
Steve?
Don't worry, be happy.
And I am happy to be here.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for the fist bump, my friend. No, it's great to be here. Really looking forward to getting to the core of some of these local issues that affect us with regards to sports and politics. So
and of course, we're talking sports. It's our opinion, but you come to a gunfight with a pen. I mean, you're wearing a T-shirt featuring a band instead of the Wildcats.
You know,
you graduated from U of A, man. What is wrong with you?
It has
a guest on this show.
It has
come without the good.
It has nothing to do with my loyalty and everything to do with just a subtle lack of confidence this weekend.
I can tell there's going to be fireworks already.
That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do.
Let's get ready.
Let's do this.
All right. Well, 3 bombshells, count them, 1, 2, 3, exploded on Arizona during the FBI's trial over allegations of dirty money in college basketball. But did the explosive testimony turn out to be a big dud? Well, bombshell number 1, testimony from government witness Brian Bowen Sr. claims Arizona assistant coaches offered his son, a top recruit, Brian Jr., 50 grand. But in testimony, he admits he never spoke to any of the assistant coaches directly. Bombshell number 2, the attorney for Jim Gatto, former Adidas executive, told the jury that Sean Miller offered or was prepared to pay $150,000 to land a top recruit, Nasir Little. But text messages entered into testimony show Little's family was not interested in taking money. Bombshell number 3, former Adidas consultant TJ Gasnola claims he paid a family friend of ex-Wildcat DeAndre Ayton to pass along $15,000 to Ayton's mom. Well, Ayton was a junior in high school at the time and committed to Arizona, a Nike school. Once again, no wiretap, no proof money was exchanged, no proof that Arizona, as ESPN was initially reporting last February, paid any money to any recruit. And at this point, a big trial, hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. What do you say?
It's going to be a tough thing that a lot of Arizona fans are going to have to deal with, I think, is the conjecture and just the ongoing rumor mill. And you're going to hear things down the road, probably a year or two, and it's not just going to be about Arizona. It's going to be about any number of schools. And you have to remember that this is an FBI investigation. This isn't just simply something, an NCAA matter. It's really important for Wildcat fans, I feel, to be patient and to ignore some of these.
Be patient. We're talking about basketball. We're a basketball town. We do not have patience. We want Sean Miller to win a title. And this hurts us. It hurts our image. That's why, again, I'm defending Sean Miller so far in this trial because he deserves to be defended at this point. But I've called for him to be fired, and I'm not a big fan of Sean Miller. But we don't have patience, and that's been our biggest critique of Sean Miller.
I know about you that you're not a big Miller fan, but I happen to love the guy. I really appreciate what he's done for the university, despite us not being able to crack that coveted Final Four that we want. But he's still recruiting well. Brandon Williams just signed, or not signed, but Brandon Williams committed, I should say. You have transfer Justin Coleman, who's a point guard, I believe, that's going to be involved with the team, and a number of other talented players. This, in my opinion, has not affected the quality of basketball that you're going to see from Arizona. And again, I believe it's real important to make sure that stuff goes by the wayside until there's actual evidence that Sean Miller was involved with this type of activity. I don't think it's constructive for Arizona basketball fans to be so critical of him.
Well, if you go back and you look at every bombshell that was dropped, okay, in Sean Miller's defense, there is no proof. And I think to this point, obviously, it's benefited him and it's benefited Arizona because look at what he's been able to do. He's been able to put together next year a top 5 recruiting class. Nico Mannion, point guard, and Josh Green. I mean, 2 really good basketball players who are going to bring back guard youth to Arizona. And it's amazing what he's doing. But back to this. You really have to look at these bombshells and say, you know what? I think Sean Miller was onto something because all of the testimony really doesn't point to Arizona committing a federal law or violating federal law, nor does it really point to Arizona committing NCAA violations. There's talk, but there's no action to support the talk, which makes it a violation. Because to me, it all boils down to this. It looks like all the talk and testimony was a couple of rogue individuals, aspiring sports agents and consultants to Adidas, who basically were playing brokers and ramping up the price of a player to benefit themselves, put it in their own little piggy bank, their pocket.
There you go.
That's exactly what I'm thinking right now because there's no proof of anything that money was exchanged.
Absolutely not. You make a great point about the status of rogue agent, if you will, from some of these coaches and players, or not players, but executives with these companies. Sean Miller, there's nothing there that is solid to convict him. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, people talk about his relationship with Richardson going back to Xavier and that he should have had insight as to what this man was doing in his personal dealings.
Absolutely.
But the fact of the matter is, it's really simple for these men to go off and broker their own deals. And I really think
the buck starts and stops at the top. Period.
Absolutely.
All right, time to move on. But despite bombshell testimony amounting to nothing more than hearsay, Dick Vitale, well, we said it, lived up to his name.
Dick.
What's his name?
Dick.
Vitale. And started a Twitter war with Wildcat fans. Dickie V tweeted, quote, "People from a players program don't believe and want to hear this testimony under oath. If valid, NCAA will have to penalize," end quote. And it's not just that tweet we're talking about. We're talking about a series and a string of tweets where Dick Vitale just seems to implicate Sean Miller and Arizona. And this is the same guy, though, really quick, the same guy, okay, when accusations and testimony came out against Louisville's Rick Pitino, Dick Vitale was the first to rush to his defense and say, innocent until proven guilty. And now in this trial, he's been egging on, inching towards trying to make it out to be Sean Miller is guilty and so is Arizona. And what a punk.
He's been trolling us for months. It's obnoxious to listen to. I've never been a fan of Dick Vitale. I don't appreciate his bias towards Duke, which brings me to my point, Zion Williams. 2 words. Zion Williamson, that whole issue is, you know, the hypocrisy there is just astounding, and it's frustrating to see a guy like Mike Krzyzewski, who in front of the media basically just admitted that this is a non-issue. They're not focused on it. They're not concerned with it.
Let me help you out with that. Zion Williamson, okay? He was busted talking on tape, okay? And text message, all right, to Kansas asking for money, pocket money, jobs, and a house for his family. Why do you think he didn't demand that from when he signed with Duke? So do you think Duke is clean? Do you think Duke is holier than thou to the point where Dickie V is keeping his mouth shut and not criticizing Coach K? It's ridiculous because last year we brought this out on the 520 before. Last year, Bagley III, number 2 pick behind DeAndre Ayton, okay? He played in Phoenix. His parents foreclosed on their house. All of a sudden, they're living in a gated community where the houses are valued at over $1 million, and he signs with Duke. And you're telling me Duke is squeaky clean? I want to hear you go off on Dick Vitale.
I want to go off on college basketball. I went to the U of A because I was such a fan of college basketball and still am. It's so sad to see the integrity of the sport be decimated with all of these accusations and the finger pointing that's gone on.
But we know this has been going on forever.
It has, and I'm really of the opinion, and a lot of people that I know are, of you've got to start finding a way to compensate these guys, and not just with scholarships. I think that there are a number of issues that you could bring up, that involve paying these players. As far as the ultimate goal for them is to get to the NBA. And I'm not saying that you need to pay these guys millions of dollars while they're in college, but teach them to manage $50,000 or $100,000 that they might get for the year. You don't have to give them that money in one large sum. I mean, there's a number of things that you can do to control the process.
But what about their education? They're getting a free education, man.
For a year. For a year. I think.
What do you say to critics who say that?
That rule, I don't think it's affected the overall quality of college basketball. I think it's definitely affected the way that coaches have to recruit. I think that there needs to be a symbiosis between that star freshman talent.
Wait, stop where you're at. Symbiosis. Have we ever used symbiosis on this show?
I didn't mean to offend you.
Come on, Mitchell!
There needs to be, now I've lost my train of thought, darn it. No, there needs to be some type of compensation for,
I agree.
For these kids.
We need to pay the athletes. We need to understand that if you want to end corruption, or some of it, not all of it, because it's not going to end. There's way too much money, especially with the shoe companies pouring in, and way too many hands that are out grabbing money. And these players see it, and they just want what's some of theirs. Yeah. Let's be honest. But it's never going to end, but you have to compensate them with a little bit more, because it's sad when a coach buys a hungry athlete a cheeseburger and could face NCAA infractions just because of that.
Absolutely. Well, and you talk about the star talent, some of these freshman kids, and even anybody who chooses to enter the draft, the fact that you're denying them access to agents, because this is essentially the end goal, is to get to the NBA, denying them the tools that they need to pursue what it is that they want to do is not benefiting anyone.
But the NCAA is changing those. The committee, the commission, has made some of those changes where they're going to allow agents to have contact with some of these star players, but again, it's still not enough.
And it was 2 years.
It's a facade.
It was 2 years ago that players are allowed to enter the draft without an agent, correct? Or they're allowed to commit or declare for the draft without committing to an agent
next year, yeah.
And still be eligible for college. That's correct, right? Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, let's call it like it is and say exactly what you all are thinking. It is time for Kevin Sumlin to count his 3-4 record as a blessing and fire offensive coordinator Neil Mazzoni. Mazzoni has almost single-handedly ruined Khalil Tate, downgrading him from a Heisman hopeful to a bench warmer with an injured ankle. Now, with Rhett Rod behind center against Utah, Mazzoni opened up his playbook, but his play calling was still worse than predictable, running on 3rd and long and throwing on 3rd and short. Arizona gained 318 yards against the Utes 1 week after gaining 265 yards against Cal. Give me one good reason why Kevin Sumlin should not fire his OC mid-season.
I'm here to help you with conversation and to spar a little bit. I can't give you a good reason to hold on to the guy. He's been absolutely terrible. I think in conversation you mentioned that the U of A offense is stymied by almost, I think they're producing half the yards offensively that they did from last year.
They're producing less yardage, but they're hugely more ineffective and way more inefficient. Last year, Arizona averaged 489 yards and 41 points per game. This year so far, they're averaging 427 yards and 27 points. That's 2 touchdowns fewer than they averaged last year. But look at the efficiency of that. They only are averaging 70 yards less, but can't score 2 more touchdowns with that. So that just shows the difference between the Rich Rod era and the Kevin Sumlin era and the Neil Mazzoni era. And what Noel Mazzoni has done is digress the team. He's downgraded Khalil Tate. Sports Illustrated came out today and talked about what a huge mistake it was to even name Khalil Tate a Heisman hopeful. How sad is that for a 19-year-old to have to go through that with that much talent?
I can't imagine what the kid's going through, especially since you saw him just give that team so much heart. He's played this entire season with a bum ankle.
He's ridiculously talented.
He's very talented. He's got an extremely wide athletic skill set. I don't know if that necessarily translates into NFL talent, but
who cares about the NFL? We need wins now.
We need wins for the U of A, and frankly, it's disappointing to see a kid of that caliber not succeed because of his coaching staff. I mean, I know the injury is part of it, but let's be real. You know, on the offensive side of the ball, they've lacked any type of cohesiveness and any type of ability to finish big plays. And you can really say the same thing about the defense. I mean, that was really the difference maker in the game against Cal. You have the 2 defensive touchdowns. The defense is finally able to make those big plays and capitalize.
The defense is starting to gel. You got to give them credit, a little bit of credit, and defensive coordinator Marcel Yates some credit because they are starting to gel. But hey, 9 of them played as freshmen. They should be a whole lot better their sophomore year going into game 8. Seriously. I mean, the offense, though, had core players from last year. They're not looking good. But you know what? I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. How incredible is it for Ret Rod to withstand all that he's withstood over the last year? With his father, he's stuck with the team, he's gone through hell and back, and now the kid, Tucson hometown player, is starting for Arizona, his first start, and in the Rose Bowl.
I love the storyline here. First since Bill Prickett in 1991, who also played against UCLA, albeit it was an abysmal 54-14 loss. But this story is so compelling. I can see Khalil Tate, even with his struggles, being on the sideline right there with Ret Rod. He made his debut in 2016 at the Coliseum. I think both those kids are going to be amped about this game. I think there's obviously a lot on the line as far as this is a must-win as far as maintaining bowl contention. Looking at our schedule down the road, tough games against Colorado and Oregon. Those are both at home, thankfully. Washington State is on the road. You know, it comes after a late.
ASU is always a toss. Of course, I always choose Arizona. Doesn't matter. But man, looking for that one win is tough to look at or to find. Looking for 3 more wins is even tougher. So Arizona probably has 2 good wins, but guess what? Not good enough, because that means we don't make a bowl game. Looking ahead to game 8, Arizona has a date night with UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Another Pac-12 all-nighter. Kickoff is at 7:30 on ESPN. UCLA averages 336 yards per game, 21 points on defense, 410 yards. You know who I have. I have my Wildcats 21-18, beating the Bruins in the Rose Bowl. Hey, if we can't go to the Rose Bowl, let's beat them in the Rose Bowl.
Steve, I'm sorry, but I cannot agree with you on this. I unfortunately have the Wildcats falling to U of A 34-14. However,
sell it.
I think you know, you
graduated from U of A.
Talked about the run game. If Lake Frick can start and keep that O-line strong.
Keep the scarf.
I'm gonna
make some love to the scarf, man.
I'm gonna get nice and cozy with this. Hopefully this will warm me up to a U of A victory.
All right, man. Well, that does it for this week's episode of the 520. Our goal is to tell it like it is, because it's all about giving voice to opinions, even if you don't agree. So be sure to follow the 520 on Facebook and Twitter at the 520 Tucson. And if you have a topic you want us to cover, send us an email at the 520@kvoa.com. Thank you to our guest, Mitchell.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, be happy. I'm Steve Nunez. Go Wildcats, baby. Yeah.